Welcome to Higher Education Advocates Podcast. This podcast is about supporting students and families as they navigate through the post-secondary complexities of college. From time to time, I will touch base on current events. Expect to hear jam-packed information that includes strategies and tips. The goal is to empower families and help them make informed decisions. Expect to hear from higher education professionals, HR professionals, tax pros, mental health professionals, financial aid administrators, students, parents, plus more. My name is Teresa Harris, and I'm a college financial aid expert. I'm also the founder and owner of Scholarship Momma. I have a master's in higher education, and I am an alum of Robert Morris University in Chicago. I'm a wife, mom, and grandmother. My heart is for our youth, but the information I'm sharing is relevant for all age groups. When it comes to college, my experience as an adult student was fantastic. I was eager to learn and ready to start a new career, and the only way I could pay for college was to borrow loans. One thing I failed to realize is the impact student loans would have on my future. I borrowed thousands of dollars during my undergraduate career, and as time went on, the amount I owed ballooned. As of this recording, I'm still paying off student loans, and I completed college years ago. For the record, I don't have anything against student loans, but I do believe in responsible borrowing, which is something I didn't do. As for the podcast, expect to hear from me on a bi-weekly basis. This podcast is available on Anchor FM and Scholarship Momma YouTube channel. For more information, check out my website, www.scholarshipmomma.com. Hey friends, and Happy New Year. This is Teresa Harris, aka Scholarship Momma. Our guest for today's podcast is author Lisa Lyons, who wrote the book, The Real Deal, A Family's Guide to College. Lisa, welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
How you doing, Scholarship Momma?
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to the listeners. We have arrived in 2021, so the theme this year is definitely back at one. So it's, what we declare this year is the rebirth, the restart, the restoration year. So I'm happy to have arrived and look forward to getting ready to get to the work and look forward to talking to you and the audience today.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. Listeners, we are going to take a deep dive into Lisa's book, The Real Deal, A Family's Guide to College. Lisa, can you tell the audience where to find your book before we get started?
Okay, well, there's two ways to purchase. The first way to purchase through my website, which is www.lisalyons80.com. That is my website. You are able to purchase the book there. Also, the book is also available on Amazon. So if you type in The Real Deal, The Family's Guide to College, it should pop up. I also have an author page on Amazon. So those are the two ways you can purchase the book.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing. Families, let me let you know, this is an easy read. And if you are interested in making informed decisions regarding college, this book is for you. Trust me, you can read this book in one sitting. It does not take long to read this book at all. It is jam-packed. It is informative, lots of information. I am so excited to have Lisa on the podcast today. Lisa, tell me what inspired you to write this book?
Okay, so two reasons, two things inspired me. I've been working in higher ed for 15 years. It'll be 16 come May 31st. But I've been working in higher ed for quite some while, worked with a lot of different families. And, just noticing working with various families, various backgrounds, various incomes, that not every family is prepared, to send the child to college. There is a big push for us to tell the youth, go to college, you'll be successful, get a degree, but we're not actually putting down the tools of knowledge for them as well as the families to prepare them for what they will walk into. I have, encountered, families that, we sat down, we picked classes, we came up with a game plan and it sounded great. And then they came back maybe an hour or so later, and all of a sudden it's like, we're not coming because we're not, financially capable to pay for the child to come to school. Or you have heard of youth that that attended, other schools say the same thing. They had to come home because they couldn't afford it or they wasn't prepared for, the challenges in the journey. So that was definitely the main reason I wrote the book. Second reason is back in 2017, I became a member of the Young Professional Women's League, and I was honored at the 40 Under 40 award ceremony. And we had a retreat a few days later. So they was like, what's your niche? Because they're big on building women in business and entrepreneurship. And, I was just sitting there, I'm like, what the heck is my niche? And I'm like, I don't know. But I'm like, I know I like to help people. I know I like to make the difference in the lives of young people. And I always thought about writing a book, but never knew what I wanted to write about. So it was like, the idea came like, why don't you write about something you're passionate about? And I'm like, I'm passionate about working with these college students. So those are like the two motivating factors. It didn't come together in my mind right away. It took some time, but those were like the two motivator factors of me writing the book. Cause I want to put something out here that's just straight to the point, straight laced, not a lot of academic jargon, not stuff that people can understand. Cause you have to understand family background dynamic. Not everybody's parents went to school. You may be dealing with some parents that dropped out of high school, and I'm not knocking anybody. So I just wanted to make a book that everybody can relate to and draw in, some real experiences as well.
Well, families, this book is it. Thank you so much, Lisa, because it is an easy read and it definitely talks about different experiences. And we're going to get into that throughout the podcast, talking about the book, and we're going to go through each chapter. But Lisa, thank you so much, because it is an easy read. You can easily identify with it. And man, this is a great read. How did you come up with the title? I was like, The Real Deal: A Family's Guide to College. How did you come up with this amazing title?
I just wanted like something catchy, instead of talking about a college guide, this is not going to catch. Saying the college guy was not going to catch, but I'm like, let me give you the real. So I was like, let's do something like this is real talk, because there's been shows that say real talk. So I'm like, let's give them the real deal. Let's just put it in plain English, put it on the table. So that's how I came up with The Real Deal.
Okay. And it is the real deal. Now let's talk about chapter 1. In chapter 1, you said college preparation starts at birth. Can you give the listeners some insights on how to prepare for college?
Well, when I say college starts at birth, throughout from preschool all the way through 12th grade, your writing skills, your reading skills, your math skills, those are going to come into play, because if you apply for colleges, some colleges require you to take the ACT, they require you to take the SAT, and then some colleges require you to do some type of placement exam in like math, writing, and English to see where you will start your coursework in those areas. Reading, writing, math, I call those life skills. So you're going to need those for life, regardless. There's going to be, even if you don't go to college, you're going to use math every day. You're going to read every day. You're going to have to write some every day. So it's like those are life skills, and parents should really hone into those skills with their young person as early as birth. It sets the tone. How a child learns, it will set the tones of how they will operate in school and how they will operate in life.
Yeah, those are great tips. I can really, identify with that when you talk about reading, because it was somewhere I was in a school somewhere. I think I went to both, and it was just saying, I recall seeing this graphic, like if you read so many minutes a day, you learn so many words, you know, and in the year you have learned this many words. I mean, it was just like very informative on how reading can really help you, like you said, with the placement test. And so those are life skills. And so you are right. It does start at birth. And so I just wanted you to share some of those strategies because college preparation do start at birth.
Yeah, and I credit my my reading. I actually credit my reading to my parents. My first grade teacher, you know, we was really getting to the gist of reading around first grade. I know now it's early; they learn to read in kindergarten, but like, you know, back in the 80s, it was really first grade where you really hone your reading skills. And my first grade teacher noticed that I had, a joy, you know, and an interest in reading. And I remember on the last day of school, she gave my mom like a bunch of books, and she said, you know, she got a thrill for reading. I'm going to give you all these books, you know, just bring them back the first day of school. So my mom had me reading, 2 stories a day for that whole summer. So I was getting ready to go into second grade. And when I went to take the test, you know, those standardized tests, I was in second grade reading at a 5th grade level.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it was like, you know, I would read the stories that's, you know, before you did anything, you read those 2-3 stories a day. And that really built, it built the reading up. And I was second grade reading at a 5th grade level. I was, 7th grade reading at a 12th grade level. And even today as an adult, I still enjoy reading. And that's because my teacher saw something, my mom took it. And that's why I mentioned in a chapter about harvesting and nurturing and how the parent is also an educator. I know a lot of parents are frustrated right now with e-learning, but parents do play a crucial role in the process because, yes, the student go to school and learn from the teacher, but the parents should still play a role and help to harvest what's being learned, like play an intimate role of what's being, learned.
Yeah. So. I totally agree with you. I think that is some good advice. And thank goodness, that your mom was able to really take the teacher advice. I like to call them vested parents, if that kind of makes sense, where the parents are working with the schools and the teachers to ensure, that their child are meeting those obligations in terms of schoolwork. And so that was great. On summer vacation, you tend to enjoy that. And I think that's okay. But you can have a balance with, learning and enjoying your summer vacation. So kudos to all the parents out there who are partners with the teachers. And that's not to say anything about parents that are not. Of course, there are a lot of situations that's going on where parents just can't partner with teachers. I know I worked nights. I was a partner, but it was challenging for a parent who worked nights to actually be available and invested during the day. But I was able to make that happen. And so I just shared that example because there are all different scenarios that's going on. And we're definitely not shaming or trying to condemn parents who just can't be partners with teachers. Everybody have a different scenario as it pertains to partnerships. But that's just great. And so being an academic partner with the teacher is awesome. Like, so in chapter 2, what you talk about, I like your timeline. So you established a timeline in your book as it pertains to the college search process. And with all the information that's out here, a lot of times this is missed. And so I really want to talk about these timelines so students can make informed decisions. Now, you have a timeline from August through November. What should families be doing?
Well, definitely don't wait to senior year. I think if your child is going to go to college, I think that process actually starts junior year, when you take your test and, you start doing tours and stuff. And some people start as early as sophomore year. So, start doing that preliminary stuff like, between sophomore and junior, are we gonna go to college? Okay, what type of colleges? But in the book, I put like a timeline on how you should handle, that senior year. So definitely, let me grab my book here. That beginning like late August, November, that is under normal circumstances. I know it's been difficult this past year due to COVID, that there haven't been a lot of college, fairs. I know some colleges were still allowing people to tour, in response, with CDC guidelines. They still were allowing people to come on campus and visit the campus, with masks and being safe. But definitely around that late August, let's look at if normal circumstances.
Okay.
So between August and November, that's really is the college recruitment season. So that's the time that I would say go to all the fairs, any workshops, do the tours. And I always encourage families, if you want to go visit the college when it's like in session. I know they do a lot of summer, tours and sessions, but go see how it really is, during the school year. So you can see what does what's the campus vibe? How does it look? Do you see people walking around looking like you? And that's, definitely, could be a concern of us African-American and Latinx families. Do you see people that look like you walking around on campus? What is the vibe? Do you feel like you'll be safe? Do you feel like you'll be welcome? So it's important. I will always tell families, go visit those campuses while they're booming, Don't go when it's like a day off, or I know a lot of people tend to use like King Holiday and President's Day and all those days, but really go try to check it out when it's in season, especially. And fall is also like a homecoming for a lot of colleges. Go then, because you really get to see like the height of the campus and the community. So that's what you definitely should do. A lot of high schools, they tend to have like financial aid nights or, college preparation nights. Go to everything that's being sponsored, because it's no such thing as not having enough information. I think the problem is people don't get all of it. But, even if you go into things and you feel like, okay, I heard this, it's okay to keep hitting the repeat button, because it's going to be, instilled in your brain on how to move forward. So that's definitely how you should be moving between August and November. And you're also applying for colleges at this time. So sending off apps, some applications, some colleges have incentives if you apply by this time, or they may push you to apply by a certain time as well, to, get accepted, or maybe there might be a specific, scholarship in place if you apply early. So you want to look at those times as well. And then from November to December, you usually start getting your college acceptance letters. They usually roll in. I believe mine came in about late October, early November. I got started receiving my acceptance letters. I know they have college decision day is May 1st, but you can make your decision at any time. Unless you're in a highly competitive program, the May 1st is just there. But, a college university, especially during this time, is not going to tell people no, unless it's a highly competitive program and they got people on the wait list trying to get in. But for the most part, the May 1st is really just, giving people an idea of where they're going to go. And then also, if a school is like a competitive program, by you committing by May 1st, they know who else they can let in, who can take off the waiting list. But you can pretty much, commit to schools at any time, because I have encountered students who decided a week before school start, okay, I'm coming to college, sign me up. So that's what, you pretty much can accept at any time, because, some schools will definitely take you. January to March, this is where you start to take placement tests, send in deposits to the schools if they require. Some schools require a deposit to hold your spot, or a deposit to, request a room if you plan to stay on campus. So this is a time you're trying to, get things in order. If they have like an early orientation, they'll usually send those dates out as well. So start pinpointing your orientation dates. And meanwhile, you're still a senior, so you want to finish strong, but you get your ducks in order. And I used to tell people, start setting all this up prior to April, because we know once April hit, senioritis is on 1,000. Is prom season, is senior dinners and senior night and spring concert shows. So you want to enjoy those, particular moments. And I always tell students, do not take your placement. If you got to take placement exams, do not take them between April and June, because you're not focused. You focus on all the good stuff, and you should, and you deserve to, because you worked hard for these past 4 years. But don't take them during. I would say even if you take it out in June, after everything blows over, but don't take it while you're in, the hype of it. And rationale, just some of my experience with some of the students I worked with, they was like, oh, I was getting ready for prom. I wasn't even really thinking about it. I just took this test and answered, and then they didn't get the ideal score they wanted because they just came in there and did something. So that's why I say kind of take it prior to then, when you're still like that February, March, January, you're still in that school mode. But I think once you get to April, you realize I'm actually gonna graduate, or you're a stellar student, you graduate anyway, your shift tends to change at that point. You not saying you slack off, but you tend to like, I'm about to get out of here. And you should enjoy. I'm not saying don't enjoy, but yeah, that's just an overview of like how I break down the senior year. So you can have fun, take care of business and have fun.
You can do both. Again, it's a game plan. Would you tell the listeners, for those who might not know, what is National Decision Day? You did mention that. So let's tell the listeners exactly what that is.
Okay, May 1st is National College Decision Day. It's known as a day for students to pick their college. Some colleges or universities may honor this date to push students who may be holding spots. So it's usually a lot of high schools honor that day too, where they have a ceremony and the students reveal what schools they are going to. I know a lot of this year, because of COVID, a lot of students did the TikTok Don't Rush Challenge, showing off where they was going to colleges. So it's like really a reveal. And then some schools honor it because they do want to, see who all showing up and who else they can, accept to the program if seats are available.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. In chapter 3, you talk about the community college. This is one of my favorite chapters. Don't boo the community college. You share some wonderful stories regarding your family in this chapter. You're out there in the trenches. You work with students, you work with families. Why is community college such a stigma?
And that's what I'm still trying to, I'm on that journey, and I'm trying to see where that comes from, because I just notice how the dynamic of people's response when they say, for example, I'm going to such and such university. Yay, oh my God, I'm so excited. I know this person went there and this, so they start rambling off and like, oh, it's a school they know. You talk to so-and-so, they went there, they got their degree, they were successful. But when I will see that somebody's going to a community college, it's like, oh, okay, that's not bad. If that's what you want to do, but it's like, we don't share the same excitement, For me personally, it's like, if you say I'm going to community college, hey, I'm happy you continuing on with your education, because, I have a brother as well as a cousin that I walked through their journeys in that chapter as well. They said that was the best decision they ever made. And they both went on to 4-year colleges. So it's like, they got there. It's just they took another route, but they, what they appreciate so much more is the affordability. Like, for example, my brother didn't take a loan. He didn't take a loan till he got to the 4th year. So he spent them first 2 years, he got some grants. So them grants was enough to sustain him. And, he was able, with those grants, get refunds. My cousin, she played volleyball for her community college. She was on a scholarship, didn't pay anything. So, walking into a 4-year and now you're a junior and you done knocked out 60 plus hours and you just using loans to pay for those last 2 years or maybe 2.5 or 3, depends on life. That's different versus have to do 4 years or 5 years worth of loans. So, they definitely appreciate the, the financial incentive, as well as, like my brother said, I don't know academically if I would have been prepared for a 4-year, because, there's guides and resources at the community college level to help students, because the beauty of community college, they meet you where you are. So if you, unlike a 4-year that will tell you you're not up to par, or you got to take this 0.90 class or this 0 this or 0 that, community college say, okay, come on in, we'll work with you. So that's definitely, they meet you where you are. Not saying that a lot of colleges and universities don't, but community college really meets you where you are. Even if you are an ESL student, English second language student, they have programs there for, those students who English is a second language. So they have all these, extra tools and resources for, students to come in and hone their skills and go off and be successful. And then I'm actually happy to announce, I talked about my brother who had graduated. We graduated from the same school, Western Illinois University. And I mentioned my cousin, Maya. She actually graduated from Chicago State University last month. So she has completed her college journey as well. And she's looking to start her master's program in psych in the fall. So, those are 2 success stories right there. At the time, she was still in, when I was working on this book, she still was enrolled, but she just graduated this past December with her bachelor's arts in psych.
Well, congratulations to your cousin. I also wanted to share a community college story. So this is 3 success stories, and I'm sure there's thousands. But this chapter really hit home for me. And I say this, and I wanted to share this with the listeners, because I had a child that also went to a community college. And my youngest son received his associate's degree from the City Colleges of Chicago in automotive mechanics, no loans. He transferred to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, but here's the beauty of it. He went to weekend school, and Southern brought their staff to Chicago to Truman College for weekend college. He received his bachelor's in automotive technology from Southern, no loans, no room and board. And that is a successful community college story right there. He was able to receive his bachelor's degree. He transitioned into a program. They had a partnership with Truman College, and they came to weekend college is what I called it. So he did weekend college for about 2 years at Truman College at Southern University. His degree does say Southern, and we saved a significant amount of money. And so community colleges is not a bad place to start, like you said. So those are wonderful stories. And I don't know why people boo the community colleges, but I'm so glad that you shared those stories in your book, because there are great stories coming from the community college. And I have one to share too. So I wanted to share that with our listeners as well. And like I said,
I think Chicago Public Schools is starting to pick up on it too. I think they have that STAR program.
Yeah.
Where over 3.0, you can get free tuition. So, and books covered as well to get an associate's degree or a certificate. So I think there's starting to be a shift now, that's great, And then a lot of these community colleges, they have 2+2 programs. So they already have partnerships that can streamline you to the different 4-year universities. And if you follow their map, it's set up to have you do 2 years at the community college and 2 years at a 4 years. So there are some partnerships to pipeline you out to the different 4 years. So, yeah.
Yeah. So families, we say this to say that do not boo community colleges. There are some great opportunities and partnerships with community colleges and universities. that number one can save you a significant amount of money on your college education as well. But you also get the support of a community college as well as a university during your journey there. So community colleges don't boo on those opportunities. And that's really why I love this chapter, because I just wanted to share my personal story as well. It's like you share with your family. Community colleges is a great starting point for some students. It's an option for you. So it's a great starting point. So thank you so much. I just wanted to say just thank you for sharing those stories. I think they really hit home with me. Now in chapter 4, again, I think I'm going to sound repetitive here. This is my favorite chapter too, because you know me, I'm scholarship mama. So chapter 4 talks about get money, scholarship grants, and those things called loans. So scholarships, that's my favorite language. I say this all the time, and it's in black and white in your book. Tell us when families should start looking for scholarships.
You can start looking at scholarships junior year. So you can start doing your research. Even if you're not applying as a junior, like take notes, because 9 times out of 10, these scholarships are offered every single year. So it doesn't hurt to start, researching. I knew a young lady who she actually started when her daughter was a sophomore. Like she started putting together an Excel spreadsheet, but she's been through the college process, herself and, her husband. So they're just using what they have learned, through their college experience. But they had started putting together an Excel spreadsheet starting her sophomore year of all the different scholarships that, her daughter could apply for. And then when she got to junior year, like late junior year, they started applying for some of these scholarships. And then senior year, it was, full speed ahead. And she and I are college classmates. We are in different sororities. But she was like, hey, do your sorority offer scholarships? I'm going to have her, apply. And she was looking different fraternities, different groups. She had her daughter apply for every single thing. And she walked away with I think Scholarship Mama, you will be proud of them, because she walked away. I don't know what the amount of money was, but she got a lot of money.
Yes.
That was 2 years in the making. And it's like, some of that stuff even came back to the person in they got the money back, checks sent back to them, because they sent it to the school. And if you don't have a balance, they'll send it. So her mom been putting it up we got to buy books. We got to do it. So they were on it. So they started as early as just putting together stuff sophomore year. But my advice for parents is to start networking. I get people ask me all the time, well, what scholarships do you know about? And I try to, pull, when I see scholarships, I post them on my Facebook page. And I remember somebody said, well, that's another sorority scholarship. Hey, people got kids. They're trying to get to school. They're trying to get this paid for. So I'm just plugging scholarships. It's not about why you're putting somebody else's stuff up. No, this is about helping families get money for scholarships. So I'm always posting up stuff. Or one thing I do, if I find out that you have a senior, this is a habit I know I've been doing, and we're Facebook friends. So I'll be tagging the parent hey, check this out, check this out, check this out. And I know what this one girl, she's like, you digging me, Ariel? I said, hey, look, there you go. Apply for this, put this out there and spread the word. So I think I try to do my part personally and try to help families, come across, scholarships, as well as my current students, because they're, it's a weird thing that people think scholarship, searches stop when you get to college. Oh no, keep rolling, keep that same energy, keep that same. Yeah, keep that same movement. So that young lady who I mentioned, that her mom, is she a sophomore now? Keep going, keep applying.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Coming across stuff. So yeah, but if you apply for 50, because I know somebody was saying, if you apply for 10 scholarships, you might get 2 out of the 10. You apply for 50, you might get 30. So the more you apply for, more of the opportunities you will have. So apply for everything. Like sometimes, even if you don't think you may qualify, and that happened to me. Like I was told to apply for a scholarship, and I'm gonna tell you, I was off on the GPA. I knew I was like, I think the GPA was asking, but I had some difficulties. So I think the GPA was asking for like a 2.6 or 2.75, and I had a 2.5. And I'm like, well, I ain't gonna get it because I got a 2.5. They came back and said, we were really impressed by your essay, and you are doing some great stuff, at your college community. You know what? We're gonna give you half. So I was grateful for that blessing, So, never, God has a way of showing up, still. So it was like I went to the ceremony, got this award plaque. Went to the dinner. I might not got the whole amount, but I appreciate getting some of the amount. So hey, that was cool.
Yeah.
So don't underestimate yourself. Just go for broke.
Thank you for sharing that insight tip, because some students, they just, like you said, I think the ratio that you shared, and I know it was just an example, but basically the more you apply for, there's a possibility that the more you will receive. Is basically what you were saying. And some students, they just don't want to apply for it. And I think that's just a whole nother podcast on discussion about scholarships in general, because there's so many myths around it, and then students that want to apply. But I'm glad you said that. But another thing I noticed in chapter 4 too, you said that you sit on scholarship committees. So that said, can you offer some advice regarding scholarships to families?
Well, you want to follow directions. All of the directions. If they say 3 pages full, they mean 3 pages full. If they say include, if this has to be postmarked by this day, they mean postmarked by this day. If they say you need to have 2 letters of recommendations, we looking for 2 letters of recommendation, because with all the committees I said on the first day, they wanted to check out if you follow the directions. So that would be a process. The first step in the process to see who followed directions. So compiling the application packages. Did it come in on time? Did it have all the information? So some people got knocked out right away just because they didn't have their 2 letters, or they didn't have their transcript. So you gotta follow the guidelines, and you gotta make sure that everything gets in on time. Like, some families might not trust the council and everybody to send the stuff separately. So they might have all this stuff sealed in one big packet. I say do it that way, because that way, all that, the transcript, you can request your transcripts, get them sealed, and you can still put them in your packet. So some families I've seen the student packet where they had everything in there, it arrived at the same time, it was all postmarked. Then I've seen situations where stuff came into pieces, but it still got there, but that's shaky. And then you can tell somebody sent it in pieces and somebody didn't do their part because it came after the fact. So you want to follow instructions. That's the first step. When they get together the packets, it'd be a no-pow simply off of not following instructions. We didn't get to read their essay. We didn't get to look at the transcripts, but because they did not follow instructions, they was automatically in the no-pow.
Wow, that's good information. So families, you hear that? I mean, follow instructions. That is good information. And then I just want to piggyback, like when you get to college, like Lisa said, when you get to college, keep applying for scholarships. It does not stop there. Keep applying for scholarships while you are in college. Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about chapter 5, which, again, it hit home for me, too. And I'm going to share with the listeners why. But let's talk about chapter 5. But what if I don't want to go to college? That is the title of chapter 5. You said in that chapter, pay attention to see if the child is really interested in going to college, or if they are going with a vision or a dream you have for them. You mentioned another option for college, which is Harley talked about. That is vocational careers. Let's talk about vocational careers.
Yes. There's still hot commodities because, like me, we all got sinks, we all got toilets, we got heating, we got air. I don't know about you. It's cold outside. I want my heat to work. They got to have people in those areas to make the heat work. You want your water running, and you want your sinks to work. Plumbing is still relevant. You have mortuary science. Unfortunately, COVID then took a lot of people away. They passed away. Mortuary science, that's always going to be, a popular, career. We still like to get our hair done, even though we find ways to go natural and, we can do cool things with our hair. Still, there's some people still want to, get their hair done, get their hair cut. So there's all these different areas. Construction, buildings are always going to need to be built, or places are going to be, remodeled or rehabbed. We need contractors. So there are certain areas, that will never die out, because those are definitely necessary. And I think there is a start to push more for more the vocational. Now, I think it subsided at one point, but I think it's picking back up. Even, you see things for welding. I see a lot of programs to help people become welders. So a lot of these programs are, picking back up because they're lucrative careers. And some people they get associates or their certificate. They go out here and they get into these roles, and they're doing very well for themselves. So I think the vocationals are something not to sleep on. And even then, so you'll have people that start out in these vocationals, and, a light bulb go off or something, have like, okay, I want to dig a little deeper. Let me go get my bachelor's. And, maybe their company or the program they've been through can help them, find some funding to continue on in the bachelor's. Or I have seen the opposite, where people went to school and got their bachelor's and end up going into these vocational, going back to school, getting these certificates and going into these, vocational roles. I have seen the opposite. So, somebody said something that made sense. As much as we push people to go to college, get degrees and get everything, we still need people to drive the bus. We still need people to work at the grocery store. We still need people to deliver our mail. So, there are different roles in life that we're never going to stop needing people in. So you have to keep those in mind as well.
Yeah, that's excellent advice. You're exactly right about that. And I just wanted to share my story with my listeners in terms of a financial aid administrator, because like you said pay attention to see if the child is really interested in going to college, and or is that the parent vision? And one of the things that really hurt my heart when I was meeting with students and families as a financial aid administrator is a lot of times, or shall I say, I came across situations where the student really didn't want to be there in college, but it was the parents' dream and the vision, but the student didn't want to be there. And that hurted me as a financial aid administrator. It was such a sad story. And I say this because as a financial aid administrator, I was not allowed to tell the parents that, hey, your child didn't want to be here. It wasn't my role, let me say that. But, that would crush a family. And that certainly was the student role to tell their parents. And that's what I always did, encourage students, like, you need to talk to your parents about that. But in the meantime, as a financial aid administrator, we still had to charge the student tuition, books, and all of that comes with going to college. And so that was very frustrating for me as a financial aid administrator to meet with families, and the child really didn't want to be there, but it was the parents' vision and the parents' dreams. So families, just like Lisa said in her book, really pay attention to see if your child really want to go to college, or if that's your vision for them, which is nothing wrong with them with that vision. But at the end of the day, it's the student that has to sit into the classroom.
Right. And then that's another thing, because I have came across students who purposely did not do well because they didn't want to be there. So they was like, okay, I know how to get out of this. Let me not go to class. Let me not be invested. And that'll push me out. Like, I have witnessed some students saying that they didn't want to be there in the first place, but they were forced to go. Or we'll switch it, go another way. They was not in the major they wanted to be in either, because they was in the major their parents told them, because they wanted to base it off, are you going to get money or not? And that's not the major they want to do. They want to do something else. So that's, even when you talk about going to college, also, you got to think about, are you in the program you want to be in?
Yes, because at the end of the day, again, families, college is a business, and you will be charged for the classes that you take. And so make sure that the vision that you share and the dream that you have for your child is your child as well. Because at the end of the day, you will be charged. Families will be charged. And if you take out student loans, that is something that you have to pay back, which Lisa touched on that in chapter 4 about, loans. We didn't talk about that, but if you do take out student loans, that's something you have to pay back, and your child doesn't want to be there, or in a major they don't want to be in. So that's the consequences that could be the consequences of your dreams and your visions that will have an impact on your family. So, Lisa, yeah, that chapter hit home with me, because I sat with many families and the student didn't want to be there, and I could not actually tell the parents that. And so I just wanted to say that I wanted to share my story as a financial aid administrator. That actually does happen. So, Lisa, we got 2 more chapters to talk about. Your chapter 6, it talks about orientation, which I was very surprised about what families do. But give us the short story of chapter 6.
So chapter 6, I talk about, look at it from normal circumstances. I know a lot of schools this past year did virtual, so you was able to do, orientation experience from your home. So under normal circumstances, a lot of schools, colleges, and universities, they do offer like in person, maybe 1 or 2 days opportunity where you can go and, get your jump start for the semester, and you learn about the campus, the programs, you get your classes, maybe take your ID picture, start, making friends. But what I learned is that a lot of students, and families, they was try to skip out on this process. I really try to push families to participate in orientation, because it's the first taste. You don't want to have your first taste of the campus is the day you start classes. You really want to go and start seeing what is in place for you to be successful, start meeting the key people, and for students, start making friends and making connections. I, seen students that have met people at orientation and they became their best friends, or at least they had somebody to talk to over the summer as they prepare. There were some ladies I met when I went to orientation. We kept in touch over that summer. And then when we came to campus, it was like, hey, welcome. It was like a, reunion almost, because we've been, in contact the entire time. So it's benefits to it. And I always tell, families, seal the deal right away. And when I say about that, like, some students don't get their classes until they go to orientation. So there's a difference between going to orientation in a May or June versus going in a late July, August, because that late July, August are usually those like leftover classes and what's left, while those May and June orientations, and sometimes April, those will be, the pick of the litter. So you got to look at that as well. You want to make sure you get a good schedule. When you start talking about going to school late and doing things late, it's really what's left over. So you want to set yourself up. You can do both. You can, go to orientation. You can still have your family vacation and everybody can be happy. But I see so many students put that on the back burner. And it's not necessarily missing out on orientation because they're going on a family vacation. You have some students like, oh, that's stupid, I'm going to work, or I don't want to do this. No, go do it. It's cool. And I think with families, they're not aware of how much importance, going to an orientation is. So definitely I will encourage people to participate in whatever you got going on. I don't know if this summer will be another virtual, contingent on how things are going. But, if you have an opportunity to participate, participate. I mean, not saying that sometimes, not saying you're going to attain everything you come across, but some gun stick, if nothing else, you got your ID, you got your schedule, at least you got that to get started if you don't remember anything else. But that was the gist of orientation. And even in that chapter, I talk about how I actually went to orientation before I was done with my senior year. So I am a Chicago Public Schools alum. So we didn't graduate to June. I went to orientation I want to say it was maybe late April, early May. I know I hadn't even had my final spring choir concert. So I knew, and it hadn't had some senior nights yet, but here I am, going to orientation while I'm still, in, high school. And, my parents nope, we need to go to the first one. We need to get the classes. We need, we talked about, need to know if we owe the balance or not, so they can spend the rest of their time preparing. So that's why my dad was big on going to the earlier sessions, because it gave them time to prepare.
I love it. I love it. Now that's a pro tip, families. You heard what Lisa said. She just gave a pro tip. Go to those orientations earlier. It's better to go earlier than later. If anything, you walk away with your class schedule and your ID. And speaking from a former college student, she's exactly right, because the peak of the litter, you have class at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I mean, just crazy times. So go to those orientations earlier. That's a pro tip there. Now, chapter 7, it talks about signed, sealed, committed. What's next? Give us the short story of chapter 7.
What signed, sealed, delivered is pretty much saying now you've been accepted, you committed, you have located the college or university you're going to attend. What should you be doing next? So that's more like a personal, getting yourself together, obtain the items you're going to need for your room. And, you get some money from graduation, don't blow it all, put some money up, because you're going to need some supplies and you're going to need books. So that's really helping you to fine tune your skills. If you never wash clothes in a day in your life, and now you're finna go away to school, you might want to learn how to do laundry. And so it's learning things like that. If you didn't keep your room clean and you finna share with a complete stranger, now is the time to start, practicing those model behaviors, because now you finna go off and, be on your own. So it's really helping you to, get prepared to how you're going to handle, life once you get to college.
Awesome. Lisa, look, crazy question. If you could have a billboard that has a message on there for students, what would that billboard say?
Hang in there.
Hang in there. I love it. Love it.
Especially now with this, remote learning and all the craziness in the world, hang in there. It's difficult for everybody. As I talk to students, they say I'm like, we all struggle in some capacity. It affects me, just as much as you feel like it affects you being a student and navigating, college through COVID. It affects me as an academic advisor. It affects me because, it changes how I have to present things. It changes how I never taught online before, but now here I am having to teach remote, had to teach online, and I never done it. And I've been teaching this one class I've been teaching for 15 years. So this was my first time having it to take it online. So it was an adjustment for me. So we're all going through adjustments, but we know there is still an end goal. We hope for better days with this COVID when it subsides, but we also want to, continue on the journey. This is not a time just to give up. We just have to keep on fighting. So I was hang on in there would be a perfect message to college students.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I love that message. Lastly, Lisa, is there anything else you want my listeners to know about you?
Purchase this book. Purchase this book. When I wrote it with you in mind. So parents, I understand you out here working. For those who are working, some of you all doing 12, 16-hour shifts or working multiple jobs or just doing odd jobs to make ends meet. I wrote it with that in mind. So that's why it wasn't a big, bulky, book. It wasn't full of fancy jargon. I just wanted to give it straight to you. And to the students, I know your attention span. You know, I love you, but I know your attention span. You all about the TikTok and the YouTube and Facebook and all the social media and music and fashion. You're young, and yes, that's what you do. You enjoy that type of stuff. So I just wanted to put out like a quick, easy, and relatable book that everybody can get in and, you know, read. And, you know, hearing some of the feedback from young people, they like it. The parents are like, thank you. So I'm definitely appreciated the feedback, and people are really getting things from it. It definitely needs to move. I would love to see schools pick it up. I am available. I know people are doing remote learning. We can talk, you know, virtual, but I definitely think this should be something that's added to like a college preparatory curriculum. I know there's a lot of schools that have college prep courses. You know, definitely be happy to work with you, assist with you. There's a lot of youth groups or mentoring groups that's working with students getting ready to prepare for college. You all need this book because it is coming from the expertise of somebody who lived it as a student and somebody who's currently working with college students. So I think that's what makes it an added bonus, because I lived it myself and I'm reliving it with students as they live it. So definitely encourage you all to pick it up. In 2020, there will be a book. 2021, there will be a book too, the Real Deal book 2. So Real Deal 1 got you to college. Real Deal 2 is going to get you through college. So we're going to talk about everything from academic success to Greek life to, you know, I got a chapter that's called Don't Drop That Alcohol, talking about alcohol usage in college. So it's going to talk about all those topics, and we're going to get real. Same format, going to share some real life stories with you to bring it on home. That's why I like having the real life examples to bring it on home and say, hey, we're not just saying this, people are actually, you know, out here living this for real. So I like to bring it home. And then also want to announce the Real Deal book scholarship. So I'm looking to award scholarships in 2021 as well for a high school graduate, a currently enrolled college student, as well as a student that's pursuing graduate studies. So these will be book scholarships, just a little something to help you with your books or supplies, but every little bit helps. So I'm excited about that. I'm hoping to launch the applications in February, hopefully to have the Real Deal 2 ready to roll by June. So still writing, still working, but yeah, definitely this doesn't stop with this one book. This is going to be a movement. I'm excited. So definitely be on the lookout.
All right. Well, Lisa, let me just say this. We're going to get you back on the show for the Real Deal 2 so we can take a deep dive into that. So we are looking forward to having you back on the show. Number 2, congratulations about the book scholarships for helping students. As soon as that information is available, listeners, I am going to share that with you as well, because Lisa is offering 3 book scholarships. Every little bit helps. And so you will be receiving that information as well. Lisa, tell us where you can find the book. You gave us a lot of information. We know your second book coming out and you got this scholarship. Tell the listeners where to find your book again, because like you said, mentoring groups need this for youth groups, college curriculum. So tell them where to find the book and where the book you at too.
Okay. So you can, if you want to contact me, you can definitely send me an email at lisalyons80@gmail.com. So it's Lisa, Lisa, Lyons, Lyons, the number 80@gmail.com. The website is similar. It's www.lisalyons80.com. That's the website. The book is available through the website. If you are local in the Chicagoland area, you can do an order and pick up, or we can do a meetup, or I'm available to ship. If you out the jurisdiction area, I'm happy to ship. So you can order it through my website. You can also order through Amazon. So I know some people got Amazon Prime and they want the next day. You know, that's great too. It's also available on Amazon. So you just type in The Real Deal, A Family's Guide to College, and it should pop up and you can order it through Amazon. And as always, a portion of the proceeds from the book purchases, they do go to funding the Real Deal scholarships. If you don't want to purchase a book, that's fine. And you want to donate, that's fine. You can donate. If you go to my website, LisaLyons80.com, there is a link and you can donate. So I had some people, didn't purchase a book, but they made a donation to the scholarship. That's perfectly fine too. It all goes, towards, functioning of the book. So as I tell people, it's allowing me to get into this entrepreneur things. What I get is I try to put back into the movement of the book. So it's not, as I tell people, this is not a get rich quick scheme for me or anything. It's something I'm very passionate about. And I do want to see these scholarships come to fruition. And I got some other ideas in mind. I'm hoping, one day to launch the Real Deal Trump Party. So, we, send some students with some essential items to go back to school with. So this is going to be a movement. It's not just a book. It's a movement. But with anything, you all at Scholarship Momma, there's costs associated with things. So, definitely any and every support I can get is very much appreciated.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, so much for taking the time out to talk with me, to talk with my listeners. I want to say thank you to all the listeners as well. Don't forget to pick up that book, The Real Deal, A Family's Guide to College. Thank you so much, listeners. Until next time.